interviewed a whole slew of really impressive and inspiring military veterans to share their stories, and he'll discuss that. And then his newest book is called the Network Effect. So he is a master networker and just a really great guy who cares deeply about our military community. So Scott, thank you for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it. And also pickleball nut too, right?
Maybe just a nut in general. Um, Listen, thanks, Jordy. I don't want to sit here and talk for an hour. I want a Q&A with everybody, but the military effect, I'll put it in the chat box. TheMilitaryEffect.com is a book about 50 servicemen and women, why they got into the military, how they got out, their transitional story, what they're doing now, and how they kind of have breeded networking and their military career together on their entrepreneurial journey. So that's the military effect.
Tell
All
tell
right.
everyone a little bit, tell a couple of the stories though of some of the ones that stand out
Wow.
to you.
Well, I just got off the phone with a retired colonel from the Air Force, who his final post was overseeing 18 Air Force bases in the Midwest. He has now moved on to become the CEO of an innovation center called Wedge in St. Louis, and is really in charge of a lot of innovation and entrepreneurship activities in that market, along with bringing veterans into the market to help them stimulate new business opportunities. So he's one of my 50. I don't talk to all 50 all the time, but they're all dispersed in verticals around the market. One of them just got an appointment by the Undersecretary of the Navy last week, Patrick George. He's all over LinkedIn. I have another author who was the lead pilot for the Thunderbirds, Michelle Callsign Mace, Michelle Curran, who also just released a book called Upside Down Dreams. So there's always kind of interesting things coming out of that book. And I'd say most of those 50 are pretty adept networkers. And if you go to themilitaryeffect.com, you can actually connect with 49 of the 50. There's only one that doesn't have a public profile. I've also put in the box my private LinkedIn group, The Military Effect, which has about 820 or so active duty service and veteran business people. So that's a really good network to become part of.
Stan, and tell everyone about the new book, The Network Effect, and also touch on some of the past things you've done in your career.
Well, the Network Effect was the first book that I wrote after 25 years of mistakes and success in business. I wrote it telling 87 stories. So these are all small bullet stories from 87 people around the world about different experiences they have in networking. Walking into a room, cold calling, building networks, you name it. They're all short stories that give you a little bit of insight as to what all this chaos is around this name, this verbiage, this vertical that we call networking.
Can you let's talk about networking because that's such a big part of anyone's hunt to get a job, right? You got to be really good at it, and you have a ton of experience in this area. What are some of your favorite tips for them as they head out into corporate America and they need to network with folks who are going to help them or influence their career choices? What are some of the recommendations you'd have?
Yeah, I was both a youth coach for a number of years and a martial arts instructor for a number of years. And what I used to do in those roles was try to teach by other examples that people were used to being a part, I'm sorry, be a part of or they understood. So networking to me is something that you've already done in a different context, whether it was on base, in your branch, in school, growing up. You've always been networking, but you just called it something different in your life. Probably my favorite thing that I like to tell people is when you look in the mirror, you've got two eyes and one mouth, right? So I always tell people to look and listen twice as much as they speak. And that's often the opposite of what people are trained in networking. They're always taught to push it out, to share their story. But the secret of networking is to listen and learn from others and move forward that in that direction.
What advice, Scott, would you have for someone who, like, how do you start the networking? Let's just take in a public setting, right? You're at an event or at a coffee shop and you want to go up and start talking to someone. How do you network with strangers? What are some of the easy ways that people can break into that? Because that's always hard. Most of us are introverted. We don't like to be outgoing or but why is that so important to do? And then how can they go do more of that stuff?
One of my favorite stories is in the book, The Network Effect, about a woman named Alicia Powell. Alicia Powell now lives in Dubai, but when I knew Alicia, she was a an active sports agent. And I've been around Alicia many times, and I always thought she was a very engaging personality. Well, when I got to the point of interviewing her for the book, I come to find out that Alicia is an introvert. And I'm like, no way. You're in professional sports. You're in all these rooms with me with all these powerful people. How could you be an introvert? So, one of the ways that you can network, even as an introvert, is to just have some questions that you're prepared to ask when you walk up on somebody. The easiest one is tell me about yourself. Tell me what you do, right? Almost anyone can open up on that. But Alicia would always have two or three questions in her pocket in case it came around to her again. And she almost never did anything except ask the questions because the person or the circle would respond. So she was just sitting there taking it in, gaining intel, right? Which I think a lot of active duty service veterans or those that are transitioning out should understand, right? Gaining intel is super important for you to make informed decisions about what you're going to do next.
Yeah, that's good. What about what are some of your favorite LinkedIn tips for networking?
Wow. Well, LinkedIn is a very interesting global database that you can use in a lot of different ways. I like LinkedIn because you can customize what you want to listen, what you want to read. You can also customize what you want to share. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool because you can sit there and review whatever you want, search for whatever you want, and most times connect to almost anyone you want on LinkedIn without restriction. Now, whether it goes to the next level or not is something that varies depending on a multitude of things, and sometimes you have no control over those things.
Yeah. But you're I would consider you one of the better networkers, in at least in my universe, right? You're always reaching out to me every now and then and checking in, and you're not afraid to pick up the phone or get on the Zoom, and you encourage that. And why is that so important?
Yeah, what I've observed over the years is that a lot of people treat networking. I don't know how to analogize this, but people always talk about flying over the top of trees, right? I kind of see networking like that. Like every person is a tree, and we're just flying over the top of them, and we're catching a little bit, and we're going to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. The secret to networking is not quantity. The secret to network is quality. And most people don't understand how to pull the quality out of that person, so they go to the next one and the next one and the next one. Um, and they don't know what they're looking for. They just know that another one is probably important. They're thinking about numbers and
Yeah.
they're not thinking about results,
Yeah.
right? So Jordy, I'm going to drop the mic on Jordy here, right? So I've met thousands of people, right? Why am I talking to Jordy, right? So Jordy and I connected not only because we have a bald head and we're in the same age bracket, right? Or because we're big talkers, But Jordy is a giver. Jordy offers, opportunities and introductions. He wants to help. That's a good sign, right? We can make fun of each other every time we're on the phone, but this is someone that I want to reach back out to. So I have two options at the beginning of the day. Call a Jordy or meet someone new. Okay. Now you have to kind of figure out a way to balance that act because you always need the new,
Yeah.
then you get to keep the old, right? So we want the OG, and then we want whatever the new trendsetter is. You got to kind of play both those sides a little bit.
Yeah, and to go deep on the old ones, like you said. But one thing that's always caught my attention with you is like anytime I'm talking to you, the conversation always ends the same way, which is you're saying to me, "What can I do for you? What do you need? Who do you need an intro to? What can?" And talk about why that's so important. To to have that
To the
mentality.
process, sure. So one of my red flags in networking is when someone won't stop talking,
Yeah,
right? I'm like, oh my God, stop talking, right? So that is a red flag just to walk. Use this phone, figure a way to get out of the circle and get away from this person because they'll never listen to what you have to say anyways. But if you want to make the most out of a conversation with someone, my opinion is you start by lifting them up, you finish by lifting yourself up. Okay. So going into a conversation, for some reason I got Shaquin up here in the corner and he's smiling all the time. I'm like, so he and I would start, and the first 15 minutes are, what you get going on? What are you trying to get done? Where are you going? This and that. I want to know how I can help you. And then I'm going to come back on the back 15 and I'm going to ask for the same thing. So somewhere in that call, you get some, I get some. And if you don't stop talking, I'm either going on mute, I'm turning off the camera, or I'm turning on a podcast. Like I'll be back when you're done talking.
yeah, that's good. Shaquan, go ahead, bud.
First, I want to thank you for coming to speak with us this morning. We really, truly, and deeply appreciate it. So, I actually find inspiration in every person's story. I try to find one thing that I take away from it. And the one question that I have for you is, what made you become an author, and how did you get your network so comfortable to write a book about them, like even if it was just a short story?
Wow. Well, really quick, okay? I think anyone that is an artist of any type finds something in their life that causes them to go after that passion. So I actually wrote the book, and it's in the book. It's in the back of it. I wrote my first book shortly after I got fired from the only job I ever had. So basically, I was at a point in my life where I had a little extra cash, a little bit of free time, and I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So that's why the book started. Listen, networking is a lifelong volition. It's about balancing friendship, quality, respect, admiration. I mean, all the things that you look for in anyone in your life, you should be looking for the same in your business world. And you know, you can't maintain a high level relationship without investing something into it. So your networks are what you put into it, right? What you get out of it is partially based on how you choose to extract the value, the intelligence, the access, the opportunity. It's different for everybody. But I'm 58. My network has not stopped growing. It will never stop growing. The way that I integrate with people doesn't stay the same. It always changes. Part of it's based on AI, part of it's based on lifestyle, part of it's based on business markets. There's all kinds of things that make you do things differently. And everyone on this phone has always had challenges in their branch, challenges in their role, challenges in their forward momentum. Okay. This networking is the same thing as what you did or what you're doing in your service record.
Yeah, good one. Thanks, Shaquan.
Thank
Scott,
you.
you've come across so many executives in your career. and some top ones. What are some of the common traits you see that the men and women who do the best in their careers, who climb the corporate ladders, who go to those leadership positions, earn the most money, what do they have in common that everyone else who doesn't get to that level have?
Well, I think beyond the obvious things that are, organizational, right, and driven, for me, most of the people that I see at the top of the food chain really respect other people. They respect your time, right? They respect your viewpoint. They want to help you, all right? None of us have extra time, and if you figured a way to buy some, give me a call because I'm looking for it. So time is our diminishing asset that no one deserves to take advantage of, all right? Jordy knows this, and anyone who talks to me knows this. I'm methodical when it comes to my network. I'm methodical when it comes to my appointments. I'm methodical when it comes to the end of whatever that time frame is. I want to, if I say I'm calling you at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, Jordy, what time is that phone ringing?
10 of.
Right? I don't do a 10 of, but I'm on the dot. And I think it will help you in some ways elevate your game and elevate to some extent the respect you get from others. Now, life happens. Lost power, kid cries, planes delayed, things happen, you can't be on time. But there are very few instances where you can't communicate to someone why you're not on time. So take advantage of that and use it in a way that others will always appreciate.
It's good. What
Right?
what um what are some of your favorite suggestions for, we have close to 500 people on the call right now. They're all getting ready to launch their civilians careers. What are some of them? It's a stressful time. It's confusing. They're leaving something that's very comfortable to them, going into the unknown for a lot. What are some of your favorite tips for them as they sort of set out on this journey?
Well, first of all, my blanket comment is thank every single one of you for where you've been in your universe. And thank you because this journey will never end. You'll always be protecting us, whether you're in uniform or not. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean that. Um, I think one of the challenges for active duty service coming out is pushing out of the branch. Okay. It's very easy to stay in the branch. It's very easy to build a network in the branch. It's very easy to go through the gate, find the branch, find your brothers and sisters in your service line, whatever that is. If you're going to make it in this world, the civilian world, you need civilians in that network. And you need to get as many civilians as you have active duty service and veterans in that network in order for you to be successful. Unless your business is fully facing in that space, unless you're going into some governmental position, perhaps. But there's going to be circumstances where civilians have job roles that you want, or they have doors that you want to get opened, or they have relationships you want to have access to. And if you have no civilian relationships, you have no answer to any of those things that I just put in front of you.
Yeah. So don't be afraid of reaching out to people. Do you ever get nervous reaching out to someone you want to connect to?
All the time, man. I probably was nervous before this phone call. I mean, virtual is a weird animal, right? I mean, we don't know who's real, who's not. There's bots. I don't know if this profile's real. I mean, you don't know who you're talking to. And if I was in, you know, and I'm gonna just pick one right now. Let's just say I was in Army and I'm in Germany, right? And all of a sudden I'm either coming out and I've got to build a network in, one of the markets in Germany, or I'm just come back to the States. Where do you start? It's like, what God's name do you start? So I think you can go back to some similarity, I'm sorry, some commonalities where there's access to the market. So I just wrote this book on pickleball, right? If any of you play pickleball, Jordy will have my information. Find me on LinkedIn and I'll connect you to the world through pickleball. I'm literally standing in Pensacola, Florida right now. All right. I was at a pickleball court last night. There was a gentleman there hawking some stuff. Found out he was retired Air Force, 20-year, right? And we spent 20 minutes in the parking lot talking about life, exchanged business cards. I gave him some connections, and now he's extended his network because he walked into this pickleball place.
Right. Found a commonality, and it's a great door opener.
Yeah.
Everyone has passions, have interests, have where you live, your kids, your spouse, and to explore those.
Yeah, I mean, you can start on Insta, Facebook, Snap, YouTube, any of the platforms, there's access points. If it's not a meetup, because that's an in-person thing, there's all kinds of virtual kinds of groups that you can get involved in. And I think the secret is to find that one civilian access point and extend it off of that, whether it's family member or someone who knows somebody, friends through high school or elsewhere that are in this space that you're at least friendly with. Figure out which platform they're on and connect. Just start that connection engine there. Uh, and I'm not telling anyone on this call to open up your personal universe. What I'm telling you is that there's ways that you can start to build a network. You can still maintain your privacy, but you can also extend yourself out into different verticals. I mean, you can create business pages on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and completely maintain anonymity if that's what you want.
Can you talk to a lot of people, vets and civilians, when they're especially looking for jobs, when you say networking to them, they automatically think or assume networking is just sort of like, hey, you hiring? Here, can you take a look at my resume? And it's very one-sided. Talk about why that's a mistake, that approach. Why do they have to look at this differently?
Well, I think the cold hard truth in the business world now is that automation is taking jobs out at a faster pace than they're being created. Back in the day, you probably could come out of service, go through one of the programs, SkillBridge, TAP, whatever, get into a Fortune 500, and you were probably okay. You probably could work your way through in that company and be fine. In this day and age, if you don't have choices professionally, you're going to be in trouble. And choices come with knowing people outside of your direct line of work. That's networking. Is it the right word? I don't know. Okay. But but you have to have choices. You have to have options. So again, if I'm sitting here talking to 474 operators, right? Just think of this as you would think of a theater, okay? I want different roads. I want different ways in. I want different ways out. I want different forward opportunities. I want different intel resources. I want different supply. I want different management or, chain of command. You build your civilian map as you have the map right now in your space. It just flip-flops over and drops down. I call it the business theater. And there's no problem with treating your business journey like you treated any mission, because that's what it is. It's a mission.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Ashley's wants to know, how do you re-engage after you've made a connection without seeming desperate to the person?
Okay. I think there's a lot of ways to answer that question, Ashley. Again, one of the great things about social media is that there's always news coming up on people. This one got a promotion. This one won an award. This one was at a conference. This one was wherever. You can keep track on people. A simple way to re-engage is to just comment on something,
Budget for next year that
right?
another
I think that's
7
probably the easiest way to do it.
million.
The other easy way to do it would be just to have a simple email saying, "Hey,
Oh,
I'm just
sorry.
checking in to see how you're doing."
Wait,
13.7
somebody
Send
turn
that by
off your
text, so you
mic,
know.
whoever that is.
from the
I can't tell who that is, but all right, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I think just a simple email, just to say that. You've probably seen one from me before that said, "Hey, I'm just checking in," right? And some people won't respond. Some people will be in a tizzy. What? Why are you checking in? Some people will just reach out as soon as the email drops. It's life.
Yeah. And Kyrie is asking, she's saying LinkedIn networking makes me cry silently on the inside because I'm not good at it.
Well, I don't think any of us can sit here and say we're good at LinkedIn. Okay. I don't know how you would measure being good or bad at LinkedIn. Um, listen, I'm not good at drawing. I'm not good at cooking. I'm giving you some options here, right? I'm not good. There's a lot of things that most of us aren't good at. So take your time to understand LinkedIn as a tool, and you can make all kinds of mistakes without anyone knowing because it's really your whiteboard, it's your network, it's your facing out to the public. You can be quiet on LinkedIn by never sharing anything. You can be quiet on LinkedIn by following everybody, right? You can be quiet on LinkedIn even by asking people to connect. You only start getting loud when you share,
Right.
comment, post, right? Like get out in the public. But you can be very, very covert on LinkedIn if you want to be.
Right. We want you guys to be more active out there. But do you think like Kyrie, I think it's a common feeling that a lot of people have when they look at a network like LinkedIn or the idea of networking and they're like, oh, I don't want to ask people for a favor. Or I don't, but I think if they start out, like you mentioned, just becoming more of a giver, what can you do to add value to this? And that could be something, everything as simple as like thanking them or congratulating them for a great post or for in a promotion they've got. It doesn't have to, you don't have to come out right away with the ask.
Well, I think we have to get as close as we can to where they are in their transition. Okay. So us civilians over here, everything's rosy. We got Starbucks, we got Life, NFL Prime. Life is easy for us, right?
Yeah.
But if you're coming out of service and you're on a base, you don't have control of your calendar, you don't know what's going on, you have some idea when your end date is. And again, that's a variety, right? Because some people have a long string of when they know, some don't know at all, which could be the theater they're in, the situation in the world, whatever. But I think one of the easiest things to do is as an active duty service member, again, I'll pick another branch, we'll say Air Force, right? It's probably pretty easy to find fellow active duty service in Air Force or transitioning or retired, if that's the word you want to use, right? And just comment on things you see them talking about, right? That's probably a good way to start, is to just start within the family, start within that area of commonality. And it's not hard to go onto any social media platform and find some very boisterous veterans in any branch. They're there. They like talking. They like posting. you know, they've got their podcast. I mean, everybody knows a podcast. You could follow just you can follow 10 podcasters right now and start your network up just that way.
But engage, like you said, don't hide in the back. Put yourself out there and who cares what happens? You never know.
You can make a comment, you can make a comment on the post. I've sent some PMs here in this chat to some people because I want to comment one-on-one with them. It doesn't matter how the comment goes,
Right.
but the communication opens up, right? So, the downside to this whole game is that a lot of people may have come out of roles that didn't require this kind of finesse, this kind of BS, this kind of like the game of civilian networking. So there's definitely a bit of psychology to it. It is a game, and it's one that you can have fun with. You can also master and you can also maintain a safety net around you by the people that you allow in that circle. Can I talk about that for a second? Because
Yeah.
I've been on LinkedIn since 2003. There may be someone on here that's younger than when LinkedIn was launched. Okay. Um, but I have under 2,000 contacts. So people are looking at that going, how does that make any sense? Well, it's because I have personally kept the foot down on my network, meaning not the accelerator, the brake. I've consistently maintained my size to a small number so that I didn't have to deal with all this outside chaos. And Jordy, you don't know this, but before my second book, before The Military Effect came out into market last May, 6 months prior to that, my network was under 400 people on LinkedIn.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I've jumped it up for the military and for the pickleball space, but my military size of my network it's probably close to half now is active duty service and veterans in my network because I work, I'm across all the different verticals.
And you probably know the majority of them, or you'll recognize their name if it pops up. With me, I don't know what I have, 11,000. I couldn't tell you 99% of them, So I didn't take that advice. I should have, because I like what you do. I like that strategy of having real quality over the quantity.
Well, that changes as things change. As a 3-book author, that's changing now.
Yeah.
But I still maintain a private list inside. I've got my own spreadsheet, so I have my own managed network that's under 200 people.
That's your core group, those two
Yeah.
groups.
Yeah. I mean, there's studies by Harvard Business School that talk about our
Yeah.
cognitive ability to actually manage business relationships. And the number is down about 135 is about the top number for most
Wow.
people,
Yeah, that they can handle. Interesting.
right? Anything above that is a database,
Yeah.
right? And if someone says, "Oh, I know 300 people," no, you don't. You know 300 people socially, but you cannot sit here and if I query you, if I ask you 3 questions, you're not going to get that far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
100%. No, I love it. All right. One more question from Timothy, and then to wrap this up. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, not really as much of a question as more of a statement. Like for us that are transitioning and looking for jobs, it's better to have those larger networks on LinkedIn, just for how the algorithms work, with how much you can see and how much you can search. But if you're already established, I do agree. I'm more of the same thing. I'd rather have a much smaller vetted network that I can take care of. So kind of two sides of the same coin, just depending on where you are in your journey on how you might want to manage your network.
Yeah, Tim, the dark truth to all of the platforms is that there's algorithms on every one of them. And so there's a variety of things that allow you to get more eyeballs on anything or less eyeballs. And that's a conversation we could go into for hours um, on LinkedIn because it's not a free-for-all community. When Jordy posts to his 11,000 followers, they're not all seeing it. LinkedIn is managing that number. Part of it's based on revenue. Part of it's based on some things that nobody knows. Part of it's based on his premium account. I mean, there's a number of things that turn that up and down. But remember this, at the end of the day, your core network is going to be really small. Okay. If you think about the circles you have within whatever branch you sit, okay, the most important circle is portable. Okay. Most important circle fits in a car, a truck, or a small carrier. Okay. So at the end of the day, my most important network is probably this hand and at times maybe two. Okay. The rest of it, again, is just there, but I don't have time to manage it.
Yeah. That's a great way to end. Thank you, Timothy. Good one. Scott, this was awesome, man. I appreciate you for taking some time today, man. I'll share the links to everyone for the books. Connect with Scott, so you can join his networking group if that interests you, and definitely check out all the stuff that he's involved with because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks everybody again for watching out for Jordy and I. We lost our hair, but we have everything else.
We do. All right, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, guys. So why don't we can break for lunch? Like I said, at 1 o'clock. So we got 2 more sessions today. We got amazing woman Regina Johnson from Verizon. She's coming at 3 o'clock Eastern. And then at 2 o'clock Eastern will be an optional session just for the folks who want OJT during SkillBridge. I'm going to get you guys closer to that result. So if you feel like you're good in the OJT front, or you don't want it, or for whatever reason that doesn't apply to you, just use that time to do something else for your career. And then for the people who do want extra help, I'll be on here at